When AZONE International announced their 1/3 scale doll of Tokino Sora as part of their Another Realistic Character line back in March, I knew I wanted her. The real question was I willing to pay the price to get her? Considering how several months later, I'm here making a review video about said doll, it should be obvious how that went down. So have I made another bad anime decision, or was she worth it? Let's find out. I've had a fascination with anime dolls for probably more than a decade now. Perhaps it started with Angelic Layer, or maybe it was my Rosen Maiden phase, or maybe it was that BBC documentary from the mid-2000s. The point is, I have wanted one for a while, but I could never justify the steep price, especially back when I didn't have a source of income. But that all changed when the Hollow Nation attacked. I've been a fan of Sora for a while now, even before I realized that Hololive was a thing, strangely enough. I think I was first exposed to her through YouTube recommendations around the time I started getting into Vtuber song covers. She has a really cute voice and really excels at that Vocaloid sound, especially in her amazing covers of Alien Alien and Taioke Disco. I also love her duet cover of Lion with Fujiawi. As for original songs, I highly recommend Step and Go and Blueberry Moon. Anyway, these two forces conspired together to take my money. She comes in two versions, one with Ankimo for 66,000 yen and one without for 58,300 yen. Not wanting to be a monster by separating her from her friend, I knew I had to get the full set. For those that got Sora by herself, you can correct your mistake by getting Ankimo separately for another 9,680 yen. She comes packaged in a 60cm long blue corrugated box with sticker labels on the front and back. It's not particularly heavy or anything, but the large size meant she cost a small fortune to ship internationally. When we open the box, we are greeted with a little booklet with everything we need to get started. On the back we have all the stats for the doll, some hair care instructions, and a list of all the included items. Inside we have detailed step-by-step instructions on how to dress her up, which will come in quite handy. Before getting her, I kind of assumed she would come fully dressed, but her body and all her clothing and accessories came packed separately. That's not a negative, and honestly it was quite fun to put her together. Before we put on her clothes, we can get a better look at her body, which is an AZ02 G bust body with lower legs from Mobitsu and stands 52 cm tall. She has a newly modeled soft vinyl head with 20mm eyes. The eyes can be adjusted by removing the back of the head and repositioning them inside. She has a fair bit of articulation overall, which we'll see more of throughout the video. You'll definitely need it when getting her dressed. Honestly, I'm not really sure how all of that compares to other dolls since she's my first one, but she already looks cute. The instructions feature lots of full color photos, so it's really easy to follow even if you can't read or are just skimming the instructions. I did have some trouble getting her dressed up, but that is more of an issue with my gloves rather than something intrinsic with the doll itself. I did overlook putting her leg through the band on her left knee sock the first time and had to redo it. The vest was also a bit tricky to put on since, to put it simply, it hooks onto her cleavage to stay put. Overall, it wasn't too bad and was more of a matter of getting everything lined up just right. Now, let's take a closer look at all the details. Her face is really charming and really radiates a pleasant aura. She has a cute smile flanked by some rosy cheeks and her eyes really shine with how glossy they are, kinda like glazed porcelain. Her wig is nicely cut and has the right shaping, but it requires a bit of styling out of the box to bring out its full potential. I don't have either the suggested doll oil mist or doll hair comb, so unfortunately I can't do Sora justice. I'll have to find them or alternate doll hairstyling products at some point, as I'm afraid of using some random thing I have lying around at home in case I damage her hair. The hair accessories have a nice shine to them, though I'm not too keen on how they are designed to attach to the hair. The ribbon accessory requires you to pierce the fabric with a metal pin and place it through her hair. It's not that visually obtrusive and certainly works, but I would have preferred something less likely to accidentally scratch her head. Similarly, the diamond-shaped hair accessory is attached directly to her hair using a piece of double-sided adhesive. I think having it attached to the end of a plastic pin that could anchor into the wig would have been better. Thankfully, they at least provide you with a fairly large sheet of adhesive in case you ever need to replace it. The buttons on her blouse, though not functional, look pretty nice and the stitchwork adds a good deal of detail. The relative thinness of the fabric lets the skin tone come through somewhat, but it's not too prominent. The ribbon has a nice shininess and the gold trim is supplied fairly sharply. The vest looks nice on the outside, but inner fabric doesn't extend all the way to make a complete inner lining. I wish it spanned the full area even if you won't see it most of the time, as the vest will occasionally slip off. It is also a bit tricky getting it positioned correctly as the tolerance is somewhat strict. As mentioned earlier, keeping it in place is a little hard given how it needs to kind of hook to the chest. It wouldn't be as realistic, but I wonder if it might have been better to do this cosplay style and use buttons or velcro to always keep it in place. The skirt has a lot of well done details such as the trim work and the crispness of the pleating. The outer portions of her skirt are excellent with the multiple layered sections. Her skirt sits on her hips nicely, but it does have a tendency to ride up a bit when putting her in a sitting pose. The stars hanging on the very tips of the skirt are great, though to get the right look they are only attached with a little bit of thread, so it's best to be cautious around them. The little bunny tail thing is also cute. Since her arms are mostly exposed, you can easily see the double jointed elbows. I don't really mind it at all, but it might be a turn off for some people. Unlike her elbows, the wrist joints are fully covered by the cuffs, which sits right at the junction between her hands and arms. The cuffs, in contrast to the rest of her clothes, is made of a more leathery material, which has the advantage of maintaining its shape even as you move things around. If you have the cuffs placed incorrectly though, it can interfere with the hands connecting to the arms properly. Speaking of which, she comes with an extra pair of hands in the grasping position. She doesn't come with anything that can really make use of that, however. Her nails are molded into the fingers, but I wish they had a glossy finish applied to them to add a little extra pop. The stretchy fabric for her socks looks really nice, capturing the curves of her legs, and the trim work at her thighs looks especially sharp here. The ribbon on her left leg is probably the best one she has. Her boots appear to be vinyl and adds an interesting contrast compared to the more matte textures of the other fabrics. The soles are plastic and not rubber. My least favorite part of her shoes are the ribbon pieces. I can see why they use stiff fabric as it preserves the sharp outlines of the ribbons, but I wonder if it would have looked better using the same type of material as the ribbon hair accessory. Interestingly, her feet are magnetic, which will somewhat help her stay standing on the included metal base. She can stand on her own if balanced correctly, but I'm paranoid of her tipping over from stray vibrations, so I've been keeping her sitting, at least until I decide to get a more secure stand with an arm for her. Fortunately, Ankimo comes with its own stand, albeit with limited articulation. You'll need to secure Ankimo around the neck, but the clamp isn't really able to fit around fully. It does well enough to keep Ankimo upright most of the time. Ankimo himself looks to be made out of vinyl and just looks right with the molding and paintwork. Just like the base, Ankimo has limited articulation and is restricted to rotation of the head and arms. I wouldn't have expected anything too crazy, but I wish that the legs could also be moved a little so we could more easily have him mimic Sora's dance moves, just like in the videos. For the price, getting Ankimo alone feels like too much of an ask, but as part of the slightly discounted full set, I think it's okay. Though I do have some issues, I really like the Sora doll overall. Honestly, I was feeling a bit anxious about dropping so much money on a single item, but that kind of evaporated pretty quickly when she came home. Ever since I took her out, I found myself randomly staring at her basically daily. She's just too cute and I really want to get all the extra bits like the hair oil to make her look even cuter. I don't know if AZONE will release any other Hololive dolls, but I would love for them to release more costumes for Sora at least. But what do you guys think? Have I gone mad, or is this just a day in the life of a Hololive simp? Leave your comments down below, and please subscribe if you want to see more of our bad anime decisions. Perhaps you may like our recent haul video that includes Sora among many other items. We also recently got the Minato Aqua figure, so please look forward to our video about that one coming in the future. Until next time, remember, anime was a mistake.